Welcome to Empowered Life Hacks, where we share with you an explosion of tips to help you overcome your daily struggles. Pay attention for the audio and visual cues, and this will let you know when an actionable idea is right on its way.
Hey everyone, welcome again here over at Empowered Life Hacks. Our mission is to end the impending suffering of many and the existing suffering of as many as best we can by providing a toolbox of skills you can use, and we hope to do that by giving you simple tips you can try. And here we have a good friend of mine named Alex. I'll give you a quick introduction to Alex. He's has his own initiative. It's known as Quest for a Meaningful Life, where he's building a community for sharing ideas, inspiration, and bringing a support network for people to go with each other and overcome obstacles, develop character, and live a real and meaningful life. And he said something there in that little phrase as his mission statement is developing character. And sometimes when you're developing character, you fake it till you make it. You do a little role play to have fun and make things interesting. And Alex told me some ways he sees the tasks he does in his day as maybe a pirate, for example, or somebody on a mission, maybe like Elon Musk, and it gets him through these hard times. And I thought, when we're stuck at home, what better time to figure out to want to do something than role play and overcome something like instant gratification and make things fun. So Alex, maybe get us started on how you got into role playing to make your day a little more interesting.
Well, I've always had a hard time being disciplined and doing things that were actually productive because I've been addicted to video games and just wasting time. And there's so many entertaining things that they're so fun to do. Like, how do we actually do things that are actually useful? How are they going to compete against the things that are fun? So I always saw work and being productive as this thing that I had to train myself to be disciplined about. It's like, okay, time to stop having fun and start working. And so it was always this like battle between either having fun or working. But then I realized some people actually have fun working, and like, why can't we make fun work and fun? Why can't they be united together? And I first thought of this idea of like, what if life was like a video game? What if it was like, what if I could have that feeling of like, if I'm playing a video game and like I'm building a castle, I'm exploring the world, I'm doing like flying around the solar system, whatever I'm doing in a video game, I'm so interested in it. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to like do serious work. I'm focused. I'm focused on the goal of that video game, and I'm having fun and I'm working. But when it comes to actually working on real world things, everything's so awkward and uncomfortable, and the rewards are not as clear. And so it just doesn't seem as fun. But if I could just sort of transfer some of that attitude from a game into real life, it seems like life could be so much more fun, and my life would become better because I could actually put some intensity into what I'm doing instead of just, uh, you know, gritting my teeth and getting through it until I can relax at the end of the day. So I've been looking for any way to try to bring that kind of playful spirit, that kind of attitude of fun and adventure, any way to bring that into everyday life. It seems like that could only be good.
So what are some ways you do that today where you maybe you can give us a simple task you do that kind of sucks, but when you put it in the perspective of the character you're choosing to play at that moment, it kind of puts it in perspective of how cool and fun it can be.
Yeah, so I think this it's going to be different for everybody, but like we all have some kind of characters that we like in some way, and maybe we get through movies, TV shows, books, through
Mhm.
mythology, and whatever we're experienced with, maybe favorite artists and musicians and whatever, any kind of people. We have these certain people that we kind of look up to in some way, and those, like, what if we could kind of imagine being that person, and it doesn't have to be like it's your whole life, like you are becoming that person, like I want to be Elon Musk or something, or I want to be a pirate. I mean, it's not like it's almost kind of embarrassing sometimes to say, like, who these people are, because it's not like you're saying, like, I am a pirate, I am Conan the Barbarian. Like, it's silly to, like, you don't tell people that, right? And like, so you're not standing behind that, and like how you mean, like, nice to meet you, I'm Conan. It's not like you don't make that like your whole personality, right? but you can kind of like, and this is a very personal thing. You can do this in your own head. Nobody has to know, and and you can just like imagine like what would this person do in this situation. Uh, so when it comes to exercise, it comes to working out, it's fun to imagine being some kind of like an ancient warrior. Like I'm like training for battle. Maybe I'm like a martial arts master or something. Well, maybe not a master, but on the way to being a master. And like this idea that you're like the feeling that there's like a real war coming up, and I'm training for war as a warrior, like, you know, it's kind of exaggerated when you think about it. You're just like, I'm going for a run in the park and doing some pull-ups. And, it's not like you're like a soldier, getting ready to defend the pass or something and, and die in battle. But by just having a little bit of that feeling, it makes it more fun. It is almost like a game, really, where you imagine like, well, what if I was actually going to battle and I was a warrior and, and then what would I do? And so that works for working out. Any kind of physical thing, you can imagine that's where you can imagine you can be the warrior. Yeah, you Conan the Barbarian. You can be. I don't know. You can even be animals. I wonder if like sometimes being a lion is. I don't know what it's actually like to be a lion. So I'm not sure how that would work. But I guess the point is you really could be anything. You can just try anything for fun. And in fact, maybe the more silly it is, the more it is just like you can have fun with it. Maybe my animal is more of a bear than a lion. You can imagine being a bear, but I don't think they actually work out. They're just like so, but they're just like naturally strong. So I think warrior works best for working out. And then I find for business, okay, when it comes to, okay, what about office stuff? You don't usually see characters that are like sitting at a desk. Like you don't watch a movie where a guy is like sitting at a desk working on his computer. So you don't like, because imagine if there were movies about and TV shows about like guys just like sitting at their desk working on a computer and it was awesome, then you could feel that and it'd be like, wow, I'm being that guy when I'm working on the computer. So I don't really have that, but instead you could think of think of some movies where like people are doing business, and you're like the idea of like you're running your empire. So I could be like my little one person business, being self-employed, but you can sit down at your desk and you can run that business as if this is your worldwide empire. And one thing I think of, and it's a very like obscure thing, but just that works for me, is there's this old TV movie called Noble House. It's about this like bank in Hong Kong, and it's Pierce Brosnan. He's like this like head. He inherited this bank in Hong Kong, and he's like running his empire and all these intrigues and everything. And and of course he does it in a badass way. He's in a Pierce Brosnan sort of badass way of running his empire. And so here I am, this like running my little business, and I can imagine like I am the heir of the noble house, and I'm now running my business and deciding the fortunes of my empire. And of course, there's all kinds of characters like that who have their empires. Another one would be like the Mad Men guy. You could be the Mad Men guy who somehow makes like everyday office work seem like amazingly cool. Maybe if you took it too far, you'd end up like smoking and drinking way too much. But just having a bit of that spirit, uh, you imagine like you're being that guy. You're just doing boring work, but if you suddenly imagine it's like being him, it's like wow, it makes it like it makes it more fun. Um, so whatever it's going to be different for each person, but whatever it is for you, just like imagining being one of those characters, I just find that it has a way of lightening up the most dull moment of work when I don't feel like working. Just imagine what would blank do in this situation.
Mm. And that was the next thing I was going to ask you. It's like, how do you set up a phrase or a mindfulness activity throughout your day to realign your thoughts? So obviously there's in Christianity or Catholicism, what would Jesus do? WWJD. I guess in this instance, let's say if like yours is like Hercules, or it's like, I don't know, you love tennis and Serena Williams is like your idol, right? It'd be like, what would input letter there do throughout the day, right?
Yeah, make your own acronym. Yeah, I don't know if what would Jesus do, that could get pretty heavy pretty fast, because like Jesus, he seems like he was pretty intense. He was willing to go all the way for what he believed in. So I think to actually do what would Jesus do, that could lead to some pretty intense things. But yeah, but whatever, But of course, maybe you could say that also with some of these other characters. Like some of these characters do things that you would never actually want to do, because like if they're from the world of movies and TV where all kinds of big dramatic extreme things are happening, we don't necessarily want to bring that into our lives. We don't have to start like, killing people and committing crimes, even though that makes great drama, right? So we have a lot of these characters are doing that, so we don't have to take it all the way. But yes, exactly that phrase, what would blank do? So I would suggest, as the exercise, would be to make a list of a few characters. And if you need a number, maybe say 7 because it's a good number. Take 7 characters that you like in some way. And then in any situation where you start to feel bored, you want to waste time because you want to waste time in a fun way rather than do anything useful, then imagine what would blank do in this situation. Oh, and I would suggest for these characters, make at least one a villain. Don't feel you have to make them all good guys. So let yourself let yourself have fun with it. Let's say make at least one a villain and make at least one some kind of like comic kind of character. Just to have fun. Like you don't want to have like 7 straight good guy heroes, because that can get tiresome too. You want to be able to try it from different angles and try different types of people.
Yeah, and maybe people can just measure it, right? Like I built 7 characters, and this character is very noble and courageous, so I'll think I'm playing, you know, the Lion King character at this time of my day, and when I need to feel like an animal, like a beast, I'll be like George St. Pierre in the gym, and then you know what I mean? Like, so I guess people can experiment and see like what character gives them strength. And that's actually a topic I wanted to cover with you, and I can share an experience I had yesterday. It's funny, we spoke about this the other day. How has it made you stronger? Like, I would love to hear, like, you gave us some actionable tips people can do to find a character and apply it and test the strategy out. But I'd love to hear your experiences with maybe increased focus occurring, or increased strength, or maybe an increased level of kindness, or even prosperity. Maybe things started working in your life when you started feeling like a different person.
Well, one thing I definitely found is that having fun makes me stronger. It's like when when I'm just doing work and I'm just like, yeah, okay, I can you apply discipline to get through it. And so training myself to get discipline is very important, but it's limited what I can do if I'm just trying to get through it till I'm done. But if I'm actually having fun with what I'm doing, everything I do is done better. It's done with love, with joy, with passion, with just a sense of humor. And when I have that state, which is only sometimes, but when I have that kind of positive state, of enjoying the moment, not waiting to be somewhere else, but really acting as if where I am right now is exactly where I want to be, then that makes it's like yeah. I mean, the simple thing to say is it makes things better. I mean, now how does it make things better? I don't know if I can break it all down, but I think there's a sense of mindfulness, awareness, being in the moment. If you're actually having fun, you don't want to be anywhere else. So you're like focused right where you are. And whereas, if you're just applying discipline to get through the boring thing until you can have fun later, it's almost like part of your mind is somewhere else. It's not fully on the task. And the other thing is, if you're having fun, you also just want to do more of it. That's a big thing too.
Mm.
I just want to keep doing this thing that I called working that used to be like, I can't wait till I'm done. Now working is like, that's what I want to do. I mean, I got to schedule my breaks and my rest and like things to take care of myself and other people and all that. But otherwise, I want to work. Like I want to do good things and like having that sense of fun and joy in the work. So it makes me better in the moment I'm doing it, and it makes me want to do it more, which then leads to becoming stronger.
It's like a positive feedback loop, I think it's called, or it just keeps complementing each other and you keep growing and growing like a snowball rolling down a hill.
Definitely. That's what it starts with. With so many things. It starts with a small change that seems to be almost nothing, but then it feeds back in, and then that small change leads to another small change. And that seems to happen with both good and bad things. So you can start those kind of loops with every little thing we do. It seems like we start a loop like that. But every little good thing, every little bad thing we do is a nudge in that direction that will keep feeding on itself if it continues.
Yeah, it almost seems like that beginning part, You know, like when a snowball rolls down a hill, people use that expression, but I feel like you actually have to push the snowball up the hill way more before it starts rolling down. Because it never feels like, for me, even with this initiative, trying to develop everything, it didn't feel like I was just pushing it down the hill. Now that I've gotten it at the top of the hill, it feels like now it's just barely moving. And if I don't even keep pushing it down the hill, it'll stop. So has there been a time where like you've been losing a bit of momentum and leveraged this kind of thing to push you through onto the other side? Maybe with the quest for a meaningful life community.
Well, to lose momentum, you have to have momentum first. So I definitely have times when I've had no momentum at all. And in fact, when you're starting, I mean, I believe in starting at zero. I mean, you have it like you can start with absolutely no momentum. You can have, and that's where I was in my life a few years ago. I just felt like my life isn't quite going the way I want, and there's something missing. I'm just sort of drifting along through life. I'm not really making the most of my life. And so I just had this sense of having no momentum at all. And so, yeah, how do you get momentum back? Well, I guess it's the same as what you do when you have no momentum at all. You just start to make a very small change, a very small nudge. And I think it's useful to be comfortable with making very, very small changes. Like, I mean, it's like when I first started exercising 5 years ago, I could not do a single push-up because my elbows and wrists were so weak from years of not exercising that it was like straining to even do one push-up. So I mean, I had to start laughing at myself because it's kind of ridiculous, that I can't do one push-up. But now it just becomes a funny story, and it's still kind of embarrassing, even though I'm saying this is 5 years ago. It's still kind of embarrassing, but now it's kind of a fun story. Like I was so weak that I couldn't do one push-up, and then even being able to do one push-up was like that was an achievement. And then so these little things. And when it comes to doing work, I mean, we are so oversaturated with entertainment, very like intense, high quality entertainment that's like filling our minds, so that when it comes time to do work, it's like the feeling of you go from like epic, imagine an epic TV show, and then you switch to like a blank spreadsheet, and that's like the feeling that is like going to work. It's like that suddenly all the stimulation's taken away, and you're just left with this kind of like blank, boring page. And that's often what work feels like. So when I was first starting to, you know, improve my life, I mean, even getting a good hour of work done in a day was like an achievement. So it's easy to compare ourselves with these kind of like, you imagine some kind of like super entrepreneur who like works 16 hours a day, or you can always imagine these people that are like very advanced in their field and very hardworking. And then we compare that, and it's sometimes it's easy to feel like you can never do that, and it's never going to happen. So maybe it's not even possible. But I think it's useful to be comfortable and enjoy making very, very small changes. So if you could actually do even a few minutes of work in a day, do one push up, walk around the block, eat an apple. I don't know, like these very tiny things, like if you, little things like that. That's how I would start momentum, by doing those little things. And if you keep doing them, keep adjusting every time as you get the feedback, but just keep adjusting, keep doing them, then gradually some of those little things start to become automatic, and it becomes easy, and then you can move on to bringing in the next change. So it starts from that. But I think we should respect those small things that are laughable. The laughably small changes are very difficult. To go from complete disorder and chaos in your life to doing one push up, let's say 1 minute of 1 second, one breath of meditation, one apple, whatever, eating one vegetable, whatever, sleeping, before 3 a.m., whatever it is, like these little things that are laughable, those little things are so difficult to go from zero to that. So I think we can respect those things and see like that is an achievement. That's like a mountain, even though it's silly from a point of view outside that person, but for that person at that time, that is climbing a mountain. If you're able to wake up and do a few minutes of work in your day, if that's the state you're at, you're able to do a few minutes before you waste the rest of your day, that could be climbing a mountain. That could be a great achievement. And so, you know, enjoy having those little wins, and you start with that, and then those will start to build on each other over time.
And it kind of sounded like, you use these characters to get you through these times of you finding yourself and your purpose. But it kind of seems as you get more and more up this mountain and you're playing these characters in your mind and you're role playing, you're slowly building evidence to become your own role model, right? Like eventually, and I told you earlier I was going to share an example. I was doing this yoga where you're using breathing and very simple movements, and you do this for like 3 minutes, and it's incredibly tiring. It's funny, like that feels laughable, but like I couldn't keep up, right? Yeah, and you're breathing in out and out aggressively, like the Wim Hof breathing method. It's exhilarating. Anyways, my point is, at sometimes she's like, you can relax your hands and put them down, and I'm like, there's no way I can continue doing this. And then she was narrating a way to see ourself in our mind, and she's like, think of a time when you overcame something. I was thinking times when I've landed very difficult skateboarding tricks I never thought I did. I thought of times I did things at my company I never thought I would do, relationships I built that were hard, or things I went through in my life. And sure enough, I swear, I just got strength. Like it's like my muscles weren't tired anymore. And that's kind of why I wanted to touch on this topic today and talk about the strength component, because this is the first time I really felt strength come in me through role playing. And I was role playing myself. So to your point, role play anybody, but try and obviously on the way get a repertoire of evidence where you can support you being successful, so you can push to do 2 push-ups or 3 push-ups because you did one the day before.
Yeah, I like that for sure. And I definitely have noticed like your state of mind has so much of an effect on your strength. Like just based on how you feel and your attitude, you can become so much stronger just if you feel you're strong. Whereas if you feel like you're brokenhearted, you're sad, you're disappointed, then you're going to be weak. Like that is a very strong effect for sure. But yeah, when it comes to making your own character, that's where you can really think of it like it's like a role playing game where you're building up your character. Then that's a fun way to look at it too. The other characters can be guides for that. They can be like mentors or sort of like these like signposts. So like that each of those characters they trigger something for you. They represent something for you. And but yet the key of course is your own character, and you can build your own character over time. So imagine like you're starting in like in a role playing game, you're a level 1 character. You're weak at almost everything, and maybe you have like this list of like addictions and like all these kind of things are part of your character. But then you're building that character, and you could work on increase some skill points in these skills, and then you can like reduce addiction points in these areas. And imagine like you are it's funny how like playing a role playing game, like you can have fun just like walking around a room. You can be like eating, you can be cooking in the role playing game, you're like cleaning your room in the role playing game. It's like this is good, this is fun. And then when it comes to real life, everything's kind of more awkward. It's like it's not as fun. But I think we really can bring some of that feeling of like I'm being a role playing character into our lives. And yeah, I think there's a lot of room just to have fun with that. And of course, if you can find aspects of your own character that trigger the same kind of feelings that you would get from, somebody you look up to, then that's wonderful. That's like that, and that's really honoring yourself and seeing what you and really being inspired by yourself, and that's great. I mean, and I guess all of us have that in some way, or even people that feel that they feel very disappointed in themselves. They probably still have certain moments that they were happy with the way that they were. And I think we can all reach into those memories and use them for strength.
Alex, those are, I think, man, we have like so many empowering life hacks or tips that came through that. Like, I mean, as I was going, I just counted a plethora of them. And I look forward to documenting it with you all, sharing it with it, templating it, and give you guys different resources so you can try and apply it. Again, just want to rehash the reason we covered why role playing and storytelling can help you is because often, especially stuck in our house, it can be mundane. We can start feeling depressed. We can lose our purpose, and we can feel like we have no inspiration, and maybe we can't even achieve our goals we wanted to when we were out in our waking life. And just seeing how charismatic Alex was about this, I just thought there's more people that can feel like him and draw from that energy and apply it to their own life. And I honestly know I'm going to try to with you guys. So Alex, I appreciate you. Before we head out, do you want to talk about any of your initiatives or anything you'd like to add as a final comment to inspire people to empower themselves to live a new life?
Wow, I mean, there's so much to say. It's a whole world of topics. But yeah, I would just say have fun with this idea, and just have fun in general. Find a way, like, if I could have like one takeaway, I would say don't have this clear division between work and fun. Work, let there be sort of, let them sort of meld together. Break down the wall between work and fun. It's not going to automatically be like, work is not going to be like as fun as a video game, or like it's not going to just going to happen, you know, automatically. But just allow the little ways that you can let some fun into these things, into things that are considered boring. Nothing has to be boring. I don't believe that we should ever spend our lives doing boring things. We can, we have to do things that we consider are boring, but we can always find a way to bring a new perspective to them. So yeah, that's what I would leave with. And if you're asking about what I'm doing, my project is called Quest for a Meaningful Life, and it's quest for a meaningful life. There you go. There's the website, just a landing page that links to some YouTube and other places. And so I'd be happy to hear from any of you, and like to carry on this conversation and talk about any of these topics.
100%. I'm sure a bunch of people will, and I'll throw all of Alex's plugs in the post on LinkedIn, on our website, so you guys can connect with him personally on all his plugs too. Alex, I appreciate you. I look forward to chatting with you more, and let's keep in touch.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Eric.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out our second episode of our talk series. You could be doing a gajillion other things, and you chose to spend it with us here. And on the second episode, as you know, every episode comes with its own resource page. And on that resource page for each episode, we'll have, the audio, the video, we'll have timestamps so you can jump to your favorite parts, the summary notes so you can just see why we think this topic is important, sit down with it. We even have actionable takeaways for you there. And after that, if you really want to get going and working with this stuff, each episode's released on a 2-week basis for this reason. We provide tools with you on that resource page so you can work this stuff with me and our team to improve, so by the time the next episode comes, you can see what tips you liked, what you didn't, add it to your arsenal and build from there. And what we're building on our next episode, right? We overcame some elements of instant gratification, coupled that with making boring things more fun, and role-playing onto building discipline and finding your why. So I really hope you can check me out for episode 3. Appreciate you guys. Can't wait to see you next time, and thanks for checking us out. Ciao.